Hey, it's Luke. Okay, we're live. Yeah, I'm just going to start right away. Christmas came early. I wasn't expecting this. I heard somebody mention that there were going to be some big updates coming soon, and for a reason, and they were doing part of the beta test. I don't know. See, I don't know about this. If you have an NDA, like you can't say what's in it, but I don't know if saying that there's something big, you're going to like it. I don't know if that would be against what you're supposed to do. I wouldn't have talked about anything, but anyways, that's what I heard in the last few days. And 2:03 a.m. Hi, nice to see you. And yeah, thanks for being here at this late hour. And yeah, so we've got a brand new update, 13.1. It comes with 2 new devices, and which was a nice surprise. They're not huge devices, but they're interesting. Both are, I guess, MIDI tools is the best way to describe them. And a whole bunch of changes, a whole bunch of little workflow updates and quality of life, I guess they'd call it. I'm going to go here. Let's just have a quick look here at, this is where they talk about the release itself. And so yeah, the 2 new devices, we'll look at those in a minute, the Note tool and the Random tool. And they did some updates to the devices, and I was all excited, but I think it's just minor things. Like Ripley, a maintenance update, fixed an issue where it could sound different at the beginning of a song export under certain conditions. So I guess for somebody like me who is I'm trying to release music. Like seriously, I have one, and it's a cover track, and I really like it, and I've been working on it for years, and I think I'm going to be releasing it hopefully in the next week. But yeah, I'm not releasing as much as I really should, so I'm not exporting as much as I should. So this hasn't been an issue for me, but I can assume if you've been using this, it might be very useful for you, because it's always annoying when stuff doesn't sound right when you export. That's why I have a bit of a tough time sometimes with some random like generative tools where when you export, it might be different than when you were playing it originally. So anyways, that's on Ripley. Gain tool, there's improved metering, and the sidechain tool has a few little things where the input gain is showing different. I think they just changed how the volume levels are showing up on it. So anyways, nothing huge there, but might be useful if that was an issue that you were having with those. And yeah, see the new features, like it's a long list of stuff, and then the bugs and stuff. We'll skip the whole bugs part, but this part here, I'm going to look at a bunch of these, and I think it's going to take a few weeks probably to go through these and learn what's new in these, so it's actually like usable in stuff. But I want to do some stuff with a few of these today. You know what? Instead of going through these one by one, I'll go through the ones that I found are pretty interesting, and I'll just look here. And I have a list, so I might go back to this a few times. And okay, so let's go right into Reason. The browser got an update. What is it again? Is it Control F? Yeah, there we go. Or Command F or whatever. And the one thing that people were hoping for, people are like, they listen to us, and the one thing that people were really hoping for is that there'd be a way to dock this. Do it basically the old way of having it where it's built into Reason. That would be nice, but that's not in there. So, but yeah, before we go any further, that's not going to be one of the updates this time. But enough people are mentioning it that I'm hoping that'll come a little bit later. And Galaxy 20 is asking, what do you think of the update? And I'm excited about this. Like, it's a bunch of little things, but I think they add up to something interesting. I'm noticing a trend here, and I find that interesting. Ableton did the same thing. Like they released an update. Like the 12 was a little underwhelming. Like it wasn't terrible, but there wasn't that much into it. There wasn't that much to it. And then they did the 12.1 update that had the auto shift. What was it? I was thinking about that today. It had the auto shift. It had the auto tagging. It had the drum sampler that I'm not using fully. But anyways, the auto shift is basically an auto tune that they built in. I was hoping they would have something like here in Reason. And I don't know if you guys use this very much, but in Reason, if you have a vocal clip, you can, like, there's basically a Melodyne built in, so you can actually do the pitch shifting where it's like programmed. The one in Ableton that's built in now is more of more like auto-tune, more for the either the auto-tune effect, or it's more like for stuff that's going through live. I do love how they do it in here, and I'm hoping to add it in other stuff. Even though I do use Melodyne, it's really nice to have it in here where you can just start pitch shifting your vocals really easily. So you just updated to Reason 13. You haven't used it coming from 11. You're going to notice some differences. I'm trying to think of like what was 11 and what was this one. And if you go back to, I did some live streams when 13 came out, and there was some really interesting stuff. Like 13 specifically has some nice stuff. I love Ripley, even though at first I was like, oh, it's just another delay, but it actually does a whole lot more. There was a bunch of stuff in 13, but I'm trying to think of what was in the update to 12, but I remember there being quite a bit. So I think you're going to be happy with that one. And so basically this one, they did, like, a lot of people were unhappy when 13 came out because it didn't feel like there was that much new to it. There were a few new devices and stuff, but even some of the new devices were the sidechain tool that can be really useful. I use Kickstart from Cable Guys or Nicky Romero. I use that constantly, so it's basically the same type of thing as that. It's built into this, and there was a sidechaining tool that was one of the rack extensions in Reason that was useful. So I mean, I'm not really using that one that much yet, but it is nice to have it built in. A few of them were smaller tools, and then Polytone was a nice synth that came out, and I actually really love that one. Like once you go, if you're sitting there and if you that's one of the first things I would do. Now that you're using 13, go load up Polytone and load up some of the presets. Like there's something about the presets in Reason, and I don't know. There's something about it that I haven't found in other DAWs, even though I use another DAW most of the time. It's basically, there's some stuff about their presets that, I don't know, you can't find that feel anywhere else. And I did a video about it, but if you go on Polytone, let's just load it up here. If you go here, this knob here, the age knob, is fantastic. It basically, it's, from what I understand, it's basically just a unison almost, but it does give things, I don't know if we can notice a little difference here, but it's just the initial patch. Let's just load something up. So you can tell it's got a little bit more, but it just feels a little bit more wobbly. This might be a little bit too much, but it does give it just a little bit of feel. Like it, I don't know, it gives sounds, I guess what it's supposed to be. It makes it feel a little bit more analog where it's not all exact. So anyways, try out the Polytone, try out some of the presets on there. You're going to like it. And yeah, so, okay. Yeah, let's go back to the browser updates. One of the big things they did is add the user tags, and that will be nice to have because you can tag stuff whichever way you want. The only thing that I'm wondering about, and I haven't been able to figure that out yet today, is if you're switching computers, if there's a way to copy that database onto your new computer, because like I could see you sit there, make a bunch of tags, and especially like I have tens of thousands of samples and stuff, like having to tag a whole bunch of stuff and then bring it somewhere else and have to do it again would be really annoying. So hopefully there's a way to transfer those over, because I was hoping originally that it would be somehow built into not the sound itself, but that there'd be some way to have the metadata like transfer over when you're sending a preset to somebody, that there's a way to set that metadata and stuff. But yeah, so that'll be nice to have if there is. I'm hoping that eventually they'll do an auto tagging and on your own sounds, because they went through and they tagged all of their sounds, which must have taken like, anyway, like hundreds or thousands of hours. Like it would take a long time. Anyways, but it'd be nice to have the auto tagging in your own sounds. A lot of the time it's pretty easy to figure out. And that's what Ableton did lately, where if it's a drum sound or a drum loop, it's able to figure that out just from the title. You can tell a lot about a track. So, you know what? I remember when Thor came out, and I haven't been using it enough. And you're absolutely right. It's a fantastic synth. And I remember how big a deal it was, because before Thor, I'm pretty sure it was the Subtractor and Maelstrom. And yeah, I remember when Thor... Okay, thanks for mentioning Thor again, because I have to use that a lot more. Like, I remember how excited I was to use it, and I didn't know anything about synths back then. And I remember doing a refill, and it actually turned out well. It was a bunch of sound effects, but I didn't know what I was doing. It was mostly like just pressing stuff at random, and it would turn into a sound, and I would name it based on whatever sound that was. But yeah, I didn't really know enough about synths to use it correctly. And because I don't even know when Thor came out. Like, that would have been Reason 4, maybe? Let me just see. I'm curious now. That was a really long time ago. Thor, Reason. I'll do release date. They probably won't have for Thor specifically, but might have it on here where... Okay, introduced in Reason 4. So when was Reason 4 released? Yeah, okay, there you go. Reason 4. Thanks. Reason 4 release date would have been what? Yeah, 2007. Wow, so yeah. And I really didn't know what I was doing. So I actually never really did enough in Thor to make it worth it. So, okay, so I keep getting sidetracked, but anyways, yeah. So, yeah. So we've got the user tags, which people were asking for. Another thing that's sort of related to that is this here, where this isn't the browser, but it's what used to be the browser, where you can right click and you can favorite and hide stuff, which is really nice because if the stuff you use pretty regularly, you can have a favorites list, but it's actually easy to switch between. Like, if we get rid of this, and if I were just to favorite, like, I don't even feel like this ID8, I don't even feel like favoriting it even for a test, because, yeah, anyways. So if we favorite these three and we go up here, we should be able to, what is it? How do we do it again? Okay, so we favorite them here maybe? Wait, I don't even know what I'm, okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So we go favorite here. And then if we want to hide stuff, so yeah, just this arrow here on the left. And then if we hide stuff here, let's say, well, we'll take that ID8 as an example. I don't use it unless I have to, under hidden, you've got that. You can remove them from there. So that's sort of nice to have just if you want to get to stuff a little bit more quickly. And yeah, that's a interesting thing to have. Also, you can tag your actual plugins and devices now, which is sort of interesting because you can tag them for a specific use. Like, I would like to add some for I do sometimes just like relaxing, like chill out music and stuff. I want to start doing more streams with that where I'm making relaxing music at night. I want to do some of those and have tags for stuff that would be good for that, you know, huge reverbs and whatever, and have stuff that's, you know, for house music, for whatever, for hip hop, and, you know, for different genres. I grew up as a French kid, so for us it's genre in French. But anyways, yeah, so that'll be sort of interesting to have. And again, I don't know what happens with these once you move computers. I doubt it'll carry over, but it would be nice if it did. So yeah, and one thing here is, from what I understand, if we search for pluck, yeah, see, now it goes here. No, maybe pluck isn't the best example. It's supposed to, you're supposed to go with your list of, if we do, it should be bringing up actual devices. There we go. Like over here, if we search for drums, it'll bring the different rack extensions for drums, and it'll bring the sounds and whatever, which is really nice to have, because a lot of the time it doesn't really matter what you're using. You just want, so I'm assuming if we just do synth real quick, so it'll have your categories and it'll have all of your rack extensions relating to that. And I don't think this category here, the in rack extension, I don't think that was there before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the case. So anyways, that'll be nice to have. But you know what? My favorite new update is this here. You can actually see it already. See the plus here at the top and the bottom? What used to happen is, if you want to use a player, like if we want to have, I'll just do an arpeggiator just to make it simple. Gotta remove the favorites, and we go to players, dual arpeggio, we add it there, and then it'll have the plus. But this one, what it lets us do, I'm just going to undo, is instead of having to go here and add it from here, you can actually just add it right from the device itself. So let's say we want to add the arpeggiator, we go here. But the interesting thing is at the top here, because if you're loading devices, the ones at the top will be like the MIDI, the player devices, like the MIDI type ones. And then at the bottom will be the effects, like reverb or whatever. So when you go here, it doesn't show you your effects. It just shows the player devices. So it just, I find it's less thinking. Instead of going over here on the left, searching it, taking it, bringing it and going, oh yeah, that's right, it goes at the top. Like, we know that's where it goes, but it's just an extra, I don't know, just some extra thinking that we don't need to do. So if we go to the devices here, and then the dual arpeggio there. So, which is really nice to be able to have. And then we can do that, and then we go to the bottom here and add whatever, like we talked about Ripley earlier. Let's do that. And then as you can tell here, it doesn't have the players. It has, what do they call it? I saw it in the manual. It's called context sensitive lists or whatever. So over here, you've got the instrument devices if you want to do something different than the polytone or than the effects here. And I just noticed here, it has all of your plugins as well. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why. Like, okay, so it's got all my plugins here. So if I want to go, there's I like the flex verb from SSL, or let's see here. There we go. The tape echoes, which I find brings some interesting sounds. And we'll just open that one up. Why is this taking so long? So we'll try. So just this adds a lot to it. But anyways, so we can just keep adding effects here as we need them. And the interesting thing I just noticed here is you can add the effects before or after. So I'm assuming this will let us add whatever we need. If we need the compressor before the echo, and then after we want to add some reverb or whatever. So that's sort of interesting. It seems so simple, and I feel like I feel like it should have been in there all along, but I almost feel like, I don't know, it just feels natural right away to have this. Like, it just feels like it belongs there, and I'm so happy they did that. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I never really even thought of that I needed that, but I do love it. That's one thing I find in Reason is like, I don't know, I love how much you can do, but I find sometimes just adding stuff, it feels like a mess sometimes, where you're going over here, you're adding stuff, and you're like, okay, I gotta add this over. I find this just simplifies it, where you've got your devices there, you're ready to go, and you can just add whatever you need to. So I don't know, it just helps. I find it just helps us streamline that. So anyways, that's my favorite thing out of everything. The random tool I do like, but I'll look at that in a second. But this I really, yeah. If it had just this, I'd be happy I updated it. So it's always a little bit more work to update it in my case, because I use the Ableton Push to control Reason through something called Retouch Control, or from a company called Retouch Control, something called Pusher, and it basically is scripts for the push, and so you can use it to control all of the stuff in Reason. So every time they do a new update, I have to go and update those scripts as well. So it like puts them in the new folder that whichever new update has. So I've got it streamlined now, so it is a bit easier. But every time there's an update, I'm like, oh, do I want to do this? But then I get excited and I do it. And then this time, you know, anybody who has Reason 13, like, you need to do this update because there are some really interesting things in here. So anyways, okay, so we've got that one. And one of the things here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, and I might switch out actually I might just take that out completely. And I'm going to switch this from a pad to just something shorter, some sort of a pluck or something. Yeah, this will work. So one thing they did here is, if you're doing sounds, it added where you can hear what you're doing. And I think you were able to hear it, but you weren't able to hear it when you move them. So if you take this note here and it doesn't fit. Now, if you use Command up and down, I always forget, because again, this is a Reason stream. I don't know. I keep talking about Ableton, but that's what I'm most comfortable with lately, that I'm using the most, even though I started out with Reason, and I still use Reason a lot as a rack unit. But anyways, so I'm so used to, usually with this, you just go your arrows up and down, and it'll switch them. It'll move stuff around. It doesn't work like that in Reason. You have to hit Command, but it works the same way once you do that. So you hit Command and you go up and down. But you can hear the notes as you move them up and down. You can't hear left and right because it's the same note. I'd sort of like it if it did have it when you go left and right, because just to remember where you are. But anyway, so I'm going the left arrow here, left and right arrow to select the note. And then if I want to take this one, I can. So if we want to do this and see what it sounds like an octave above, if you hit Shift while you're hitting Command, it'll bring it up an octave automatically. And then if you go left and right, you can hear them. So you can see that how it moves between them. So anyways, it's a very tiny improvement that I think will make a big difference, if that makes sense, which is most of these would fall under that category. Okay, so that's the other one. Okay, this one I have to think about a little bit because I don't really remember how you do it. But yeah, so bear with me here. But basically what we're able to do is we can split the clips into a bunch of clips. So if you've got, let's just close this up and just load, I don't know, I guess synth loop maybe? Actually, this one might be a good example. So, oh yeah, this is Rex. I don't know if. Okay, let's try this again. So we'll do synth loop, and we're gonna look for a wave file. Can we choose them here. Yeah, no, it would be nice to. Oh yeah, I got to go into my sound libraries. Anyways, I'm not even in the right place. Okay, so let's choose. Okay, this one might be a good one. So we'll close this, and so we should be able to chop this up. So we should have an option here on the right. There, chop clips to, and we can do quarter, eighth, or 16th. And okay, I feel bad mentioning Ableton again, but in Ableton, if you do bring it in the simpler, you can have the auto slice. And I think you can do it in Mimic as well in here as a sampler. But this will actually take the audio clip and split it up for you, which is really nice. And so if we go into eighth clips here, it basically creates all of your sounds, but you can use each of these individually. So you can do a little bit more, like we can like mute this one and then mute these two and see what. Just get rid of the metronome here. Okay, hold on. We're gonna get rid of the synth first. And go so. So it lets you work with your clip, and it would be really nice for different, like if you want to do vocal chops or whatever, you can take this and chop it up into little pieces and just pitch adjust a few of them and whatever. It just makes it quicker to go through and just chop stuff up. And it's just a very quick way to do that. And I'm assuming you can work with the clip itself. Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, there we go. So if you need to adjust the clip where it chopped it there and then you had a little bit like something that came in right before that bar or whatever, you can expand this one here. I wonder what happens. So yeah, so basically we're making this clip bigger, and yeah, so see, we've doubled the size of that clip. So anyways, it's just a quick, easy way. You don't have a whole lot of choices here. Like if we even take this one and we do chop clips, like you're going quarter notes, eighth, and 16ths, and bars, and then snap value, which snap value I think is snap value, that's right. It's where, depending on how you've got this set up, of like a bar at a time or whatever. So it's basically depending on how either zoomed in you are, or, you know, how you've got your... I'm trying to think of the words. I just woke up from a very nice nap. I decided to just rest a few minutes before the end of the live stream, and I think I slept a little bit too much. But yeah, anyways, you can. It depends on what the grid size and all of that stuff, however you've got it set up. So you can do stuff with that where you'd be able to have some of the clips a little bit longer, and then you can change your grid size and make them a little bit smaller. Like you can play around with it quite a bit, but overall it doesn't have a whole lot of options, but really this is all you need to get started. And it is nice to be able to chop that up, especially if you have either drums or vocals. I think vocals is where I'm going to be using this the most. So anyways, so that's the split clips into a bunch of clips. I called it in my notes. The note. Okay, let's look at these two, because these two new devices are interesting. So the first one is the note tool. Like I said, the second one I like the best. So let's try just our new system here. So I'm going to get rid of this first, and we'll just use the note tool just to know where we are. So we'll use this plus, and we should be able to add what happens if we do add player here? Oh, I'm just curious if we do note tool. Oops, note tool. Note tool patch, note tool. Does it add this or, oh, okay, it just brings patches. Anyways, that's not what we want. I was just curious. So anyways, we go here, note tool is right there, and it's in there. So right now it should be, we should be able to, oh yeah, unmute it. It just works completely normally. We're not changing anything. The reason I think this is going to be really useful is it's an easy way to split your keyboard. So if you don't know what a split is basically on some synthesizers, some patches, whatever, you'll have stuff, you can have a different instrument on the left and on the right. So it's sort of interesting because you can have your bass on the left, but it doesn't have to be the bass of the same sound. Like, it's not like the bass notes of a piano and you're playing the same piano on the right. You can actually have like, you know, your piano on the left and your strings on the right, or whatever. And it's sort of nice to be able to, first of all, record two sounds at once. It's good for performance if you're using it for performance. And there's one thing I've been wanting to test here, because it's got something here called split, and I'm wondering if that is specifically like the split. But anyways, what we're going to do to start is, so basically what it'll do is, if you can tell which, I'm playing the lower notes here, which you see. And one thing I love on here is this velocity. Like, it actually tells you, it shows you how high the velocity is on these notes that you're hitting. And yeah, the note tool to split between different instruments, that's exactly what I want to use it for. Because, like, okay, so on the left here, you've got the lower notes. They do this. Oh, and you can adjust this velocity here. So you can have it, so it's ignoring the lower velocities, but we're going to not worry about the velocity for now. So these notes here are the lower notes, they play. These higher notes, it just completely ignores them. So if I go to these higher notes, it's not doing anything. But if you want to split it, so basically we're using the polytone here as for this, this note tool. But what we're able to do, let's add another polytone. Actually, no, let's add something completely different. I'm going to go to my favorite device here. This Scenic Hybrid instrument, there's something about it. Even before I got it, I love this thing. And ever since, there's just something about it that, anyways, I love all of the sounds that come out of there. Well, except maybe that initial patch. But anyways, I'm just going to find okay, this will work. So if we want these higher notes here, we're going to go back to this here. So what we're going to have to do, so we've got, oops, if we go back to these, see, it's not playing these notes. We want these notes that get ignored to be playing the other instrument, which is the hybrid instrument, Scenic Hybrid instrument. So we'll have to hit tab, and this is where we want to play here, or here. Hold on. We need the rejected. Yeah, rejected notes. We want the CV out. So we're going to take this. We'll do gate out and CV out to this one here. So we're looking for the input. So this will be the CV input. Hold on. Yeah, we might not need this one. And now I may be wrong at this. This is the first time I try this on here, but let's see if we, no, we're not. Would we do it here? No, we're not doing it here either. Because the theory is all of these rejected notes. Now, if you're watching this, you might know how to do this already. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. But because we should be able to, I'm even going to bring it down a little bit. So these notes here. And yeah, because we want, do we need the gate maybe? No. Okay. Okay, I'm doing something wrong here. CV and gate on the left. Thank you very much. So this will be the CV. Thank you so much. Because there we go. There we go. Thank you so much. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it that right, but is it Yonac Music France? Yeonak, maybe. You might be French. Okay, there we go. So, thank you. So that's exact. So if I had, I should maybe play it on the piano, but so I can go to these. So these bottom notes will be the polytone we had. And you can see that audio coming through there. And then if we go to the higher notes, no, the higher notes are playing the wrong one now. What do we have? You manage the French brand of a Korean music group. Interesting. One of my friends was in a Korean band that, it's funny, he's Canadian, and yeah, they found a bunch of Canadian expats over there and started a band over there. So this sounds like we've got... Okay, what am I doing wrong here, though? It almost seems like both of these are going through polytone. Oh no, there we go. Okay, so these here, this here is a scenic. I guess I wasn't going the note. The notes weren't high enough, so you're able to have both. And then if we want, like you could tell, we need a little bit more volume on this. Some of these notes I wasn't hitting hard enough. So, no, see, yeah, never mind. Never mind what I just said. But that'll be in the, actually, it might be in here. We might be able to do the velocity here. There we go. This one here. See, now I'm just pressing this pretty lightly. And it seems to be... Anyway, so we've got both instruments at once, so it's really nice to be able to do splits, and you can do this with pretty well anything, which is nice. You don't have to have a patch that's ready for it. You don't have to have anything like that. Yeah, so that's the main use I think I'll find out of this, but it does have things here where you are able to transpose the octave, and you can do some automation with all of this stuff. You can have, let's see what this will do if we do shorter notes, because yeah, see, I'm not sure what I thought this was supposed to cut them short. But anyways, this is, oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to check. Okay, there are some presets in here, which is interesting to get started and sort of understand what different things do. And this one does have filter adjust split, and I'm not sure if that has anything with splitting the sound or not, but I'm not even sure what this is doing. It sounds like it's just playing. Okay, so this last one said octave shift. Where were we? Because if we do the octave shift, no, actually we could probably just do it ourselves over here. Mode adjust filter in spite of filter adjust. Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna have to play around with this one a little bit more, because we've got, and then the, you know what I think I'm noticing here? I think that's why none of this is working. I think I've been, I was on MIDI input on this other track. Let's try it again. So if we do note length, yeah, let's get rid of, we'll just mute this. We should be able to do, oh, maximum here. Okay, so yeah, so that's the thing. We're still we're still splitting this. So let's get rid of this split altogether. That's why, yeah, that's why this isn't sounding like what we wanted. So we'll just get rid of this. And yeah, so over here, it's rejecting these higher notes. And then when we go here, it's playing these longer notes. So hopefully this will be. Okay, reverse to adjust filter, then you apply your filters, then split after. Oh, okay. Okay, so we have to do that and then set up the split. Okay, that makes sense. Just want to see what. Yeah, so you can see this octave is switching, even though you can play a higher and lower note, but it's sort of nice because you can automate this and have these notes change as you're going through. And then there we go. Oh, okay. So we had the hold. That's why these notes were long. So if we go to, we'll do the shortest. It basically turned this sound into a pluck. This is a sound here. Okay, hold on. We'll go lower, but this is a sound here if I hold it down. And then if we turn this on, it's turning it into a pluck, which is really nice because, of course, you can go in here and adjust the ADSR, like you set up the release and just cut that. But it's sort of nice to be able to do that really quickly, and it gives it a completely different sound. Like this isn't even this and this sound like two different sounds. And then if you automate this, you can do a whole lot with it. So. And yeah, so I think this will be really interesting. And then the hold feels like, I want to see, I have a sustain pedal here. That's with the sustain pedal. And then, yeah, this isn't very long. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. So this is without the sustain pedal, just the notes. And this is with a sustain pedal. We're going to turn this off. And with a sustain pedal. Oh, hold on. Might have to. Okay, with a sustain pedal, we're not getting the long. We're not getting the sustain because the note length is actually, that's interesting. It's sort of cutting off the sustain pedal, which is something interesting. Anyways, you can sort of fake having a sustain pedal on here. And this is basically, it's sort of interesting because what we're taking this sound here, which doesn't really have that much of a decay or anything. And then we're turning it into a short instrument and then turning it into a long instrument, if that makes sense. Like we're taking that one sound, a longer sound, turning it short and long at the same time. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I totally understand. It makes sense in my head. But yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so yeah, you're acting on the MIDI, not on the sound shape. And that's what's really interesting. Yeah, and we're not really used to that. We're used to working on it like once it's gone through the synth and done stuff. Yeah, that's interesting what you just said, because like I'm wrapping my head around it, because that's not something we usually have where we're able to do that much with the MIDI itself, especially this, like adding the sustain to like through MIDI isn't usually how it's done. Like you're able to shape the sound with the MIDI tool. So anyways, with MIDI through this tool. So anyways, this will be really interesting to have. I want to try just a couple of, this one's softer. Okay, I want to see. That's a nice smooth sound. And then if we remove this, yeah, so it's adjusting the sound. Yeah, it's doing stuff to the sound. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's doing stuff to the sound by not doing stuff. I don't know. Anyways, it makes sense in my head. But yeah, so okay, so that's the note tool. So but this next one is my favorite one out of the two, and it's a random tool, right? There we go. Under players. And what I'm going to do for this one, though, I'm not going to use the polytone. I'm actually going to use a drum loop. Or actually, no, I'm going to use, I want to see if we can find some sort of a, I want to do a top loop. What I love to use this stuff on, like a random tool, is for top loops. And I do a lot of deep house music. So a lot of the time you've got your kick, your snare, and the open hat, and then a little bit of hats around there and whatever. But what I always have a tough time with is just sitting down and making that extra, just taking the time to make that extra little, the ear candy, sort of there's those percussions that go in between there that are just making the beat interesting once you've got your traditional deep house beat going, right? So if we can get, I'm not sure if we should use the club drums or, you know what, we're going to use the retro one. And let's find a patch in here that's just, I wonder if there's anything that's mostly hats, because that's what we want. Is what I'd love to have is a whole bunch of hi-hats. Oh, you know what? Let's just go with Casio drums. So I'm just going to find the, hold on, I'm going to get rid of this here. Just trying to find the right octave for these. Okay, hold on. I'll just, where are they here? There we go. I might use this for this. Oh, sorry if I hit the mic, but do I have them on here? And I'm going to remove the in key mode so I can. Okay. So we don't want the kick. Might want this one here for sure. This here. This one here. We won't use the clap. Let's just try these three. What I'm going to do, I have a repeat on here. I'm just going to put in, actually no, that's way too fast. Doesn't even really matter what we have in here, but yeah. It doesn't matter because we've got a whole bunch of extra stuff in here and that will be, or it could be useful with this. So let's just make this loop here. And it might even quantize it. And I'm sort of afraid to listen to this, but okay, I'll get rid of this. Bring this back to the beginning. And okay, this might be useful. It actually sort of sounds sort of nice with that bass, but anyways. Okay, so somebody I knew would say, now we're cooking with gas. Okay, so let's just do, I'm just gonna loop this short part here. Okay, this will give us a good starting point with this to see what we might be able to do, because we want to get rid of some of these sounds, obviously. There's a few sounds in here that I don't really like, but anyways. Okay, so we're going to do random velocity and random pitch. You know what? I almost feel like using, yeah, you know what we're going to do is I'm just going to move this over. And after all this work, let's just use, I'm just going to use one of these one of these sounds. Why are they not playing? Oh, there we go. I just want the... Is a hi-hat the best one for this? No, you know what? This is going to be the best one. So let's get rid of all of these other ones. Okay, again, this is the first time I go through go through this one. Plus, I have been using Reason as a DAW in a little while, so there we go. Now we're going to leave the bass line in here. It helps give it a little bit of a groove. So anyways, the random note length. Okay, we're going to reduce the probability. Now, why are these grayed out? Oh, there we go, because we're not using this. Okay. Okay, we're going to reduce some of these. So we're going to bring this probability up. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a... One thing I'm noticing on here that they didn't add that would have been really interesting would have been the groove. But I'm wondering if the groove settings will work on here. So that's, anyways, that's something for later. So we've got a little bit of a pattern going here. And then, okay, we won't use the random pitch because of the instrument this is. It's going to be throwing other ones in there, and I don't have the time to figure out which one. But anyways, so if we go to here, this sync, if you're wondering, sync chance or whatever, we'll take these three here, and as you move one of them, let's say we have this over here, it brings everything up all at once. So just a quick shortcut to get a whole bunch of these done. But so if this would be something where I might even have it really, really low, have my beat going, just a normal beat. Let's see if we can see what this will sound like. We'll just do we'll do full loop. I don't usually use full loops in anything. This is just for we'll call it teaching purposes, but I would never use this. I'd chop it way down, but okay, you know what? This might... Oh, hold on. So we're going to take this. We're going to drop it in here. And then close. Oh, and by the way, you might have noticed that this stays open here once you move stuff over. They've got a new thing where you can go in here, choose a patch, whatever, and then go into another device. And you can leave your browser open and go into the other device and start choosing a patch there. And it'll load up your patch in that first one. And then your browser is already open for the second one. So it's sort of like, it's almost like they're giving you what we had here when it was on the left. And when you did stuff, the browser would just stay there. But anyways, so that's something new, which is really nice to have because I don't know if you've used the Korg M1 plugin, which is one of my favorite plugins. But there's one thing where when you're choosing sounds, you can go through on the browser, you choose your sound, it sounds really good, and then you go do something else. And then as soon as you go do something else, it doesn't keep the sound that you chose. Like it'll just go to the next one when you're doing something. So you're losing your choice and you got to figure out, oh, what was that preset I was using, that I had loaded up, that I had started to work on. So anyways, yeah, it's sort of nice that it will keep your settings from that one when you're loading up a different device and using the browser on that new device. But anyways, okay, so there, you can tell, okay, this is what we have, this sound here. And obviously there's the randomization, so it won't always sound the same every time it goes through the loop. But listen for that. And if you're listening on headphones, you've got a little bit more on the right. That might be how you can find it, but so you can tell it adds just a little tiny bit hardly hear it in this one. And I might... Maybe if we just bring this one down a little bit, might hear it a little bit more, but... No, I like it with just a little tiny bit, and then we can go into these settings. Let's get rid of this mixer here. We go into here, and if we want to add a little bit more probability, have a little bit more... It gives it a nice feel. What I would want to do with this is record a whole bunch of them and make it longer, and then you can basically you're resampling this, and then you've got a little bit of a loop, or you can have a little bit more of a pattern to it. So you can maybe have the 4 bars that repeat where they're always the same because you've recorded the output of this onto your onto another track or onto this track. So I do like the feel of this. And it's making me wonder if we take this, and we had a few other ones, right? Did I just get rid of them? There we go. If we take this, and then this was one, and if you do hear noise in the background, I have company over for Christmas. We've got family visiting and stuff, so might be a little bit louder than it usually would, but see, this is where we can use this this new feature. But why aren't these going through? That's a good question. Actually, here, we can bring some of these here in. So I always forget that we don't really hear these because that thing's still on. Yeah, no, that doesn't sound good, does it? I always forget that this is on, so it's going with probability. Even if we're choosing these sounds, if I take these here and I move up and down, it won't play on most of these because this thing is on. But if we do the same thing now, we should be able to hear the different sounds. There we go. This one here might be good. We're actually I'm gonna get rid of this one here. Yeah, C1 to G1. Okay, thanks. And if I was on the keyboard, I'd be able to go through more. I'm just doing it quickly on here. Yeah, you know what? I might even have this on. There we go. Yeah, I didn't even have it on the C. All right, there we go. There we go. C, D, E, F, G. Okay. Actually, no. Something like that. Yeah, the update is nice. Miguel Angel's asking how the update is. It's a whole bunch of like little, like I said earlier, quality of life updates that sort of add up into something interesting. Like this here that we're doing. I'm gonna bring this way down. There we go. Yeah, it has a bunch of nice little updates. I'm really liking this here, which is the add a player. I don't know. It's just nice to stay in the rack instead of having to move over to the browser to do everything. So, see, this is working because if we just solo this one here, let's see what we have here. And obviously, again, these are all different every time it goes through the loop. But it's just adding a little bit, maybe a little bit too much of that. This one, I think it's this one here. So we might even remove some of these. So removing some of the probability from going into the probability as well. So yeah, the tagging is great. You're right. the user tagging. I'm just really hoping that we can move it over to a different computer because that'll make a huge difference. But yeah, it'll be really nice to be able to tag these things, and it was definitely missing in here. Like that's something that yeah, yeah, we need to be able to do the tags. Like we were able to do the favorites, and that's what I did here a little bit. I have these patches to do sort of relaxing music and stuff. So I was using this as my tagging in a way, but it'll be nice to have them right in here where I can just do the relaxing patches, find all of those, and it's easy to go through. So yeah, and then I think that's it. Like out of these updates, if we go back to the list here, I don't know if there's anything we missed. And that's another thing I noticed is they actually updated the manual already, and a lot of software, they'll do the update and then it takes them a while to get to it. This one is right in this is the web version of the manual, and it's got all of the note tool. This one here I found sort of funny to look at. It's a little confusing with the arrows and understand what they're doing, and you understand pretty quickly what is going on here just from knowing what this does, where we're choosing the range of notes. But anyways, I found it sort of interesting that so many arrows. I've never seen that before. But anyway, so you've got that and all of the stuff about the note tool. And then if we go down, we should have the random tool here and all of the documentation there. So it's actually really nice that they were able to throw that in there right away on launch. And yeah, if we go back here, this is the whole announcement page, and this is where you can go through and see if there's anything really interesting to you. And the chop clips will be interesting. I have to do. Oh, and that's something I didn't mention earlier is those chop clips where you can chop it into every quarter note or whatever. You can apparently do it with MIDI as well. So that's sort of nice to be able to just quickly change your MIDI notes so that you can do a little bit more with it, and then you can add some players on here with each of those notes and have it, if you throw the dual arpeggio on there, do a whole bunch. So anyways, it'll be really interesting to go through, and yeah, I'll have to play around with these, and especially those two new devices. They don't look like they do that much, like it's just the random, but you can really tell that each of these settings will do so much more to it. Oh, and there are presets. Let's just try a couple of these real quickly. I'm just gonna I'll just solo this one, just see what these presets do. I really don't like that. Is it this one here? I think it is. Yeah, okay. No, it might not be that one because it came through again. Oh, is it this one here, up here maybe? No. Okay, hold on. I gotta get rid of that. I can't stand that symbol. I don't know why. There's something about it. Oh, is this one here? There we go. Okay, so here we should have this, and then bring the probability up. And oh, there's this as well, the random velocity. You've got the velocity, and what this does it's not randomizing the velocity itself. It's actually, well, if you do it on this offset plus minus, it will actually take the velocity that's coming in. So if you've got a note coming in at 100 velocity, if you do the offset of like 27, it'll go between 127, which is maximum, and whatever, 100 minus 27, 70, 73 or whatever. So it'll offset it. So it'll take the incoming velocity and adjust that based on what was coming in, which is sort of nice because it's not as random. It's basically taking it based on what you're playing, especially if you're using this in either live context or whatever. That will be that will be useful. So anyway, so I don't know what, there aren't a whole bunch of presets on this one. There may be maybe a dozen of them, but anyways, it'll be interesting to play around with when we add more sounds going through, where it's got a little bit more to play with when it's choosing the probability and stuff. I think the probability might be even a little bit too high on here because there's no variation, because 90% it's playing almost all of the notes. But anyways, that'll be a really interesting one. Be interesting to go through all of these, and I'll try to use these in a future live stream or video, just to once I've gotten the hang of what all of these do, and I'm able to do more interesting advanced stuff with all of these. So anyways, yeah, you're right. It humanizes the sounds, and I could see it, especially with drums. You could, if you throw this on a drum kit and you're able to have a little bit of a natural feel, and especially like for like in deep house music that I do, a lot of the time you're using the same patterns, the same way, the same velocity. It's a nice way to be able to add that ear candy, just have a little bit of variation, and you can have as much or as little variation as you want. If you wanted to have just little variations here and there, even with the pitch, if you're playing an instrument and you want to have a little bit, it would be nice actually if you sat there with if you create a drum kit of just hi-hats and stuff, and you use this random pitch to go in between those notes. And anyways, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. I think this could make it sound really good, and it really, like, it depends on how creative you are, because you can do so much. Like if we go on the back here, there's so many things that you can route so many places. So there's a lot you can do with this. And I'm going to play around with this. And I'm glad you guys were here. Thank you so much. And again, I don't know if I pronounce it right, the Ionak. Thank you so much for everything. You've been here right from the start, and helping me a lot with a bunch of these things too, trying to figure this out. I don't know how long you've been using. I don't know if you've used this in the. You must have used this in the beta test, because you seem to be understanding a lot of these devices way more than people would in a day. So and yeah, the LFO, you're right, to modulate stuff, where you could use it to modulate any of these, and it might be even more interesting on the note tool, where you're able to modulate either the octave or whatever. Like you're able to use that. There's a lot we can do to play around with this. So you're doing music since 1976. That's even earlier than me. I thought. So yeah, you seem to sound. You sound like you know what you're doing, and I'm hoping that works out really well. Your music group and stuff. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll actually go and have a look and see if I can find some of your stuff. So anyways, thank you very much, everybody, for being here and for participating, and I hope you learned a little something about the new update, and definitely get this update. If you've got Reason 13, it's really worth getting it. If you're on Reason 12, you're wondering, like I said earlier, I did another live stream when that came out with the interesting features that are in there. I actually really like 13. I know a lot of people were complaining about it. The only thing is I'm still not used to that browser being separate. I find like it slows me down, but I think that'll, over time, that just gets easier. And I have a feeling they're going to try to find a way to put it back in there, because so many people are asking for that. So anyways, 70, and you're like, yeah, that's really interesting, because so many people, like I know so many people that they just stop. They'll stop at a certain age. They want to stop learning. They want nothing to do with electronic music. They want nothing to do with having a computer in there. They want, whatever. So that's great that you're still learning and still doing music. And sounds like you're doing some interesting stuff too. So anyways, okay. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time. And thanks so much.